Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Isaac of the Dead. I'm back, and I saw the new House of the Dragon Season 2 premiere, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, okay, granted, it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. I mean, what's perfect these days anyway, right? So let's get right down to it. I think there's going to be some spoilers in this video. I'm only reviewing episode 1 because it's the one that came out last night at time of recording. So, yeah, let's talk about it. So spoilers. So click off now if you don't want anything spoiled. So I didn't make a season 1 review for House of the Dragon. I probably will sometime in the future, maybe. The reason I didn't is because I was so detached from Game of Thrones after season 8 of the Game of Thrones TV show. But House of the Dragon kind of wanted me back. I was kind of a sucker for House of the Dragon, all right? But I had a lot of skepticism about it. I had a lot of problems with things like, how they were advertising it, things like intersectional feminism and, all the, the race swaps and whatnot, disassociating from the lore. But it turns out that the people who are making it are actually fans of the books. So I can't be too mad, and I understand what they were going for. And it actually kind of works in the first season. And so I think, okay, so basically I'm trying to think about what to say here because I want to avoid spoilers, but also I know it's impossible to avoid spoilers at this point. So basically, okay, we pick up where we left off on season 1, right? So this is after Lucerys Valerion, Rhaenyra's son, is killed by Aemon Targaryen, her younger brother, right? So we see in this episode things like Aegon the second become how he interacts as a king, right? So we see how it doesn't lose any steps, in my opinion. I think that this carries on the spirit and the energy of the first season, and the way it doesn't lose anything. I know that's been two or so years since the first season, but it doesn't lose any of the edge. And it's called the episode is called "A Son for a Son," which is actually in the book because Fire and Blood is the only book in A Song of Ice and Fire's world that I've actually read and dove into. Right. The problem with that is the book is written as a fictional history from the perspective of a maester who was not in the events that he transcribes in the books. So otherwise, all the characters in the book don't have any sort of personality or characterization. It's just a history book. It's just a list of names of the Targaryen family history, going through time over the course of 100 years. So, or a couple hundred years actually, since Aegon's conquest. And that's the only book in A Song of Ice and Fire that I've read. And the only reason that is because, technically, I got the book from my grandfather for Christmas or something, and I thought he would like it because I thought it was a part of A Song of Ice and Fire. What I didn't understand at the time was that George never finished the books. George R. R. Martin never finished the books. So anyway, going off on a tangent here, the episode starts off with, as I want to say, Jacaerys, the other son of Rhaenyra, the other older one, going to the north to talk to Cregan Stark about recruiting him to Rhaenyra's cause, as what happens in the book, actually. And so after Aemon kills Lucerys, basically Rhaenyra wants revenge. She's grieving in this episode. She only has one line in the episode. And so she wants revenge on Aemon, and this is kind of like a downward spiral of a bunch of horrific events that happen. And this episode, actually, at the very end of the episode, spoiler warning, the son for son thing. So I was told by a very reliable source that it wasn't going to be as strong or as powerful of a scene to when they pulled it off. And I think that the pulling off of a son for son could have been better. I think there's ways it could have been better, but it actually wasn't it wasn't terrible. It was actually very shocking, and still shocking to now because I don't even know if I can talk about it on YouTube. But basically, let me see if I can try. Let me see if I can try to formulate this the right way. Since Rhaenyra wants revenge against Aemon, Daemon Matt Smith plays Damon so perfect, by the way. He's such a great... He looks so much like Elric that I can't unsee the Elric in the way he walks, the way he acts. But Damon's a little bit more of a... He's a chaotic, humorous, sarcastic, and snarky character. Elric, I don't see very humorous and snarky, but maybe I haven't seen it or read enough Elric. But Damon... tries to, while Rhaenyra is grieving the death of her son, Daemon is trying to get revenge. He's trying to get revenge for the death of Lucerys. And so he talks to one of the rat catchers. And you can see throughout the episode, I was like, as soon as I saw the rat catcher, I was like, oh shit, they're about to do it. They're about to really go hard on it. And so they didn't go as hard as they could have gone. It could have been way more graphic and gruesome, but I think there's a sense of dignity in a TV show that they're like, yeah, let's not show that, so I can understand, but at the same time, this is Game of Thrones, there's some crazy shit you could throw in here. Still, it's very shocking, and it could turn a lot of people away in terms of an audience. But Daemon talks to one of the rat catchers, and we only know the rat catcher and the Kingsguard guy, we only know them in the book as Blood and Cheese. And so we didn't really have like a name for them like in the show per se. I think we had one guy was he had a name. I can't remember now, but Daemon talks to Blood and Cheese, and the last 10 minutes of the episode, we get this segment where Blood and Cheese are infiltrating the castle. They're infiltrating the King's Castle and King's Landing. And throughout the episode, we see the relationship between Aegon II and his son, who I knew from the start. I was like, oh, let's not get too used to that kid. Let's not get used to his son, who's just a little baby guy, a little poor guy. So Blood and Cheese break in, and so originally in the book, Aegon's wife is also his sister because the Targaryens are into that stuff. Aegon's wife, his sister. His wife and I don't know which one to choose because it's all the Targaryens are messed up. But anyway, she is captured by Blood and Cheese. So they break into the castle and she's captured by Blood and Cheese. So the show follows that up pretty well, right? They originally had 3 children. I believe it was 2 boys and 1 girl. That's what I think it was. I could be wrong. Because it's been a while since I read the book. But I do remember that those 3 children, and they were asking for a son for a son. So they were there to kill a son, one of Aegon's sons, basically. One of Aegon and his sister's sons, basically, right? And so his sister says, kill the youngest one. He's too young to remember any of this. So she was willing to give up her youngest son, right? And Blood and Cheese said, nah, that's not good enough. So they ended up killing the oldest one, right? And so once they killed the oldest one, then all-out war happens, which is what we're supposed to see in the rest of the season, right? And so in the show, however, the difference is that the sister, Aegon's sister, doesn't say kill the youngest one because I only believe there's 2 children instead of 3, and so basically she just points to the one that she says is a boy, but Blood and Cheese can't figure out which one which one is a boy and which one's a girl because they both have long hair that are very similar. They look very similar. And so they ended up deciding which one they're going to kill. And they ended up killing, the boy. At least I assume they killed the boy in the show. But, yeah. And so it was pretty fucked up. It's pretty messed up stuff. But that's the world of A Song of Ice and Fire for you. It's pretty messed up. And I don't think it was... If it did it how they did it in the book, it would be way more gruesome and shocking. But this was still emotionally impactful, and it was still very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. Now, we also see things that we don't really get to see in the book, and that's why, in my opinion, I think the TV show, this is a rare occasion, where the TV show might actually be better than the book, because the TV show actually has characterization. You get to understand who the characters are that they're talking about in the book. We see things like Alicent Hightower, Well, she doesn't have a great fate in the future. I'll just say that. But neither does Rhaenyra, to be honest with you. Nobody in this show is a good guy, and nobody in this show has a happy ending. I'll leave it at that basically. So Allison Hightower starts to develop a relationship with Kristen Cole, which is something I don't think we saw in the book. And so, yeah, that leads to believe that there's some sort of like love affair going on there, and a lot of secrecy. One thing that I noticed at the very beginning of the segment with Krieg and Stark was that they said that Aegon the Conqueror came to the King of the North during Aegon's conquest, only 100 or so years before the events of this show, which means it didn't happen that long ago. And I was under the impression that Aegon's conquest happened like several hundred years before the events of House of the Dragon. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but that tells you how the book is written. Basically, it kind of, it's not the best written book. I'll just say that. It's written by a maester. It's written like it's a history book from the perspective of an unreliable narrator, and so. But they kind of confirm, in a way, and they didn't just do it in this episode, they did it in the first season too, that one of the reasons Aegon conquered Westeros was because it was either him or it was Daenerys the Dreamer who had a dream of A Song of Ice and Fire. She had a dream of the Long Night returning, basically. And so that's why he went to go conquer Westeros, is to make sure that the kingdoms were united, so that when the Long Night came, they were prepared to fight off all the White Walkers and the Whites. And so they even hinted that threat is now stronger because the kingdom is severed. We're starting to see the collapse and the separation of the kingdom through A Dance with Dragons, through this whole conflict, right? And so, what else was there in this episode? Otto Hightower still a cunt. as Damon Targaryen would like to put, Otto Hightower is still a cunt. But every character, I can't choose a side, green or black. I can't decide because every character is so well written and so well performed that I find it hard to root against or for anybody, right? But that's kind of how it's supposed to be. So, yeah, dude, I need to get more involved into the world of Ice and Fire, and I really hope George does finish Winds of Winter and A Song of Spring, but I highly fucking doubt it. I highly doubt he'll ever finish those books, but I do plan on reading the ones that he has finished, and some of the other books, like things like Dunk and Egg, and anything that involves the Blackfire rebellions, but I have read most of, if not all of, Fire and Blood. And so I do know some stuff. I can at least have a conversation with somebody about this stuff. So if I missed anything on my review for this episode, this is what I'd like to do. Like, okay, for all the people who come into my comments or watch my videos and are like, oh, you just rant about woke stuff. Oh, if the show was good, I'll be doing this. I'll be talking like doing a actual conversation about lore and having fun. Look at the smile that I have. I don't smile in my videos all the time because this shit was good. Like, it was actually a good show and I enjoyed it. Now, like I said, it's not perfect. Could be better. There's ways that it could be better, but hey, I'm still having fun. I'm not being insulted by, greedy, obnoxious Hollywood. So, I don't know. That's what it is. Haters gonna hate. We'll just have to wait and see for the next episode, see how this plays out. I'd love for this show to really nail it so that, maybe A Song of Ice and Fire can be done with justice in the future. So thank you all for watching. If you like what you heard, like, share, comment, subscribe. Your boy has been Isaac of the Dead. Don't smoke crack. I'll see y'all next time.